Mixing my final piece, my final project's song, "Mirrored by Eyes," which is what I called it, was quite a fun process for me. Like I've said before, uh, one of f- one passion of mine in music is production. I see this as something in which I truly love doing. I'm almost certain that if I want to get a job within the music industry, I want to become a songwriter, producer, um, composer, within that field. And so every day I want to learn more and more about mixing and mastering, as well as producing a song. And I believe I get better day by day. And like I say, this project is just a snapshot of one moment in my life. And how well I can produce right now. So this is uh, the final piece. If I can get it up, here we go. Yeah, this is actually the final piece. This is completely done. This is the final song. So I'm just going to break it down and talk about how I created it. So to start off with, I actually started with a piano synth, which is an electric 88 synth by Waves. Um, I believe, yeah. It's an electric 88 stereo synth. Um, I use the exact same chord progression that I have been talking about within my musicianship section of my research, in which, as you can see, here it is. I believe, yeah, so it's E major second inversion, then it's F sharp minor, root position, then C over C, sorry, then C sharp minor, second inversion, and then final A major and root position, taking away the E. Um, this is what it sounds like by itself. As you can see, the dynamics is pretty constant as I didn't. I wanted it to be a constant sound. Basically, this Electric 88 was meant to be the glue for the song, as I believed the overall frequencies and sound seeped through and acted almost like a spread for the whole song, so that the piano and drums sounded full with this Electric 88. So if we look at the inserts, I have literally just one insert in which I do this for almost, I believe, actually every single instrument I have. So I get rid of the main frequencies in which I don't like, or the unnecessary frequencies within every track of this song, in which was the sub bass, um, which is background sounds, as well as sub bass, in which I didn't want this Electric 88 piano to have any of that. I didn't feel like it needed it because that's not what I'm using it for. As well as I just got rid of the high end because I didn't want any presence or brilliance really within the track, for this track anyway. As I This makes it so if I do this for every track, I get rid of the unnecessary frequencies and therefore gives more space to the overall track. I also, if we just play it again, these two bell frequency bands, as well as these two as well, these are just decreasing certain frequencies within this Electric 88 piano. Um, so if I play it, you'll be able to see. Here we go. Uh, so if I solo it out. So that was just one of the frequencies in which I felt like it could have dimmed down a little bit and got rid of, as it just got a bit annoying to the ear, as well as this frequency, I believe, as well. Sorry. As you can see, when you just heard it there on the last chord, this frequency here peaked a bit too much for my liking. The rest are just also quick decrease in bell bands. After that, I added a piano, which is just a Bohemian Rhapsody sampled piano by Waves, uh, which I really like the sound of. The reason why I didn't use a real piano for this piece was uh, was mainly because I kind of wanted to do everything by myself, and even though I even though I could have used a real piano, I would have had to go to the studio at college, in which I found it quite hard to book out. Uh, so instead, I just reverted back to this, in which I'm still really pleased with the outcome. So this is what it sounds like with both the Electric 88 synth and piano playing the same chord progression and voicings within the chorus. And if I solo this piano out, you should be able to hear that there isn't really any bass frequencies within this piano. Yeah, so the reason why I did that was because I knew that I was going to be adding a bass as well as kick drums and so forth within this mix, and so I knew that in the final mix it would sound like this piano had bass anyway. So I got rid of the bass, got rid of a bit of high end. I amplified a bit of the treble or high end, and just got rid of a certain frequency in which I wasn't keen on. This bell band I use for every single track. I usually get rid of roughly about 350, 400 hertz to 500 hertz. Bring this bell band down to about 5 dB, and what this does is just gets rid of any muddiness within every single little piece of music, and therefore gives the overall sound a really nice clarity. After adding the pianos, I believe I added the main synth. No, I tell a lie, I added the bass. So here's the bass. I did use the main synth. So actually, I did create the main synth first, which sounded like this. I'll quickly play it. How I actually came across making this synth was quite interesting, really. What happened was if I select this, I actually use this as my bass. So I want to create a bass after this, and I thought it'd be quite interesting to have quite like a really quick and fast moving bass within quavers and semi-quavers. So it actually sounded like this. Something like, sorry. I believe it sounded like this. No, there was one more. Yeah, it sounded like this. And I mean, in the end, I just really found that I really didn't like this this sound of this bass. And so I actually thought maybe it'd be quite interesting to up the octaves by, I believe it was three octaves. And then it just turned out to be an amazing main synth for my song, which added such a nice sense of summer to the song. Now, I already knew that I wanted quite a lot of reverb and delay onto this synth, as as you can hear. It just works so well. So I used a FabFilter Pro Q. As you can see, I've told you about how I got rid of certain frequencies. I upped a certain frequency to make it more piercing through the song. I then added a distortion. What distortions do? They add harmonics to the piece, and So it gives more of a boost and more of a kick to this synth. Um, and finally, and distortion always makes any sound better. Um, not too much, but it does. And then at the end, as you can see, I used a Choir Rich Hall preset in which I altered the space to about 2.5 seconds. The decay rate is at about 100%. The mix is 41.61%, which is quite, in between. It means the reverb isn't too present, but you can hear it and you're aware of it. And then I just made sure that the decay rate EQ frequencies, I didn't want it, picking up a lot of the high end frequencies to reverb and more the mid to treble. So then after that, that is the summer piece. Then I added the bass. This was quite interesting. I used a sample bass in which I chopped up and just made a really cool pattern. So this is what it sounds like. If I can get it to work. Oh, I just need to get my hard drive. One sec. So yeah, I used a sample 808 bass in which is on my hard drive, which is what I just went to collect. As I have a lot of music software and equipment on my hard drive, and so I can keep it all on this. So if we just wait for it to load, I can show you exactly how I made the 808. So that's mounted. Now hopefully this should work. Just need to reload it. Basically, I found this final piece very interesting to do and to complete, as I've told or written down on my blog that most of the songs I write and produce are very dark and sinister, and because of that, it was such a challenge for me to write a happy Go Larry song. But nonetheless, I do feel like I successfully completed it, and I'm quite proud of the outcome. Even though some people may say it's quite a simple song with when talking about music theory. You got to remember, I had absolutely no help on this song whatsoever, as well as I personally don't know a lot of people who can create a song like this by themselves with no help. Whether it's help from getting people to record certain instruments, whether it's help with mastering, whether it's help with recording, whether it's help with learning certain techniques to do. Yeah, but anyway, getting back onto the 808, hopefully it should play. Okay, so here's the 808. I can play it by itself without any context, and you can just have a listen to the overall pattern. Now, it sounds really rough and really bad in quality, in my opinion. Also, it's very, very distorted. But this is exactly what I wanted, as I knew it never sounds as distorted as it does in the final piece. So with the effects, actually to start off with, I chopped it up, and I'm just going to talk about the structure quickly. I wanted the first 808 like pad to kick in straight away. Then I wanted it to be like a pause and then like a bouncy drop, which was this part, which reminded me of a bounce. Same with a bounce here. And then here just gave more of a bounce within the song. Overall, I found this 808 to really help just give a bouncy vibe to the song. So with the effects, I used three plugins. The first one was actually a pitch correct, as if I turn this off, you'll be able to hear that the 808 isn't actually in tune. So and I did try and tune it right without using a pitch correct, but I used Very Audio, which is a sort of a note alteration pitching device, in which you manually pitch correct. But that didn't work because I found out that it was actually it was the wrong sense within the bass, so I had to use a pitch correct to get the exact pitch right. But this didn't really change much of the overall sound, but it did actually add quite cool little harmonic gestures and cool sounds within the bass. So if I play it with, and without, it just adds some cool little like ghost notes and phantom notes, in my opinion. Then I use a Pro Q2 just to get rid of the certain frequencies I didn't want, and a distortion just to make it that much better and make it kick more. After that, I had the main song down, so I had it sounding very similar to so. And then after this, I felt that it was time to add my conical influenced rhythm and drum beat. So I started with a hi-hat in which I recorded myself. I can solo it out quickly. Sorry, when I say recording myself, basically what I mean by that is it's a sample in which I found, really liked the sound of it. Then I added a vinyl effect to it, and recorded the vinyl effect over it, and added that, as well as I added certain hi-hats within this just to give it that more some ghost hi-hats and some accented hi-hats feel, so I added them. So overall it sounds like this, but I did bring it into the mix a lot. And then I just looped that all the way around. Then I added a snare and kick, and this is basically a 4 on the floor beat, but with some snares and kicks, offbeat and in some odd places. And that's it. Then I finally, I EQ'd all of them. I think I added some reverb for them. Then I added a snap, in which I duplicated and panned to both sides, so this gave a very prominent sound within the mix, which is exactly what I wanted. Then overall, I believe that is the final thing. Then it's just the vocals, yeah. So after that, I just added the vocals, which... I'm struggling. Oh, here we go. So after that, I went into the verse, and now I've basically, pitched everything up to what you need to know. Also, before I got the vocal, the intro of the vocals, where it says "Soda van and the sky has broken up," where it says "Soda van," and then I just auto pitched this up some octaves and down a fifth and so forth. And up, I increase in the automation with the volume and also the panning, so it sounds like the vocals are getting closer before they start. Then I went into the vocals, so this is what the vocals sound like by themselves.
The vine in the sky has broken up. I give her everything, but it's not a lot. I hold on, never let go. We try.
So that's basically 6 of these tracks I used as behind the scene vocals and Vox vocal verse. They're not the main. They're just so it fills it up, and I've panned them all differently. So yeah, it sounds, the vocals sound a lot more fulfilling. Then the final 2, I just increased in the volume, and yeah. What I did to the vocals, they're all the same. Just use Pro Q2 to get rid of certain frequencies and to make it more clarity by increasing the presence. Then I compress the vocals to make sure everything's sounding good. Use a multiband compressor in which I ups the band 2, and I think I decreased band 3 a little bit, and increase the presence within the mix a bit more. Then I use a de-esser, in which I use a split band de-esser. This just gets rid of the certain peaks within the S and T's of the song, and also make sure I don't do lisp. If I used a wide band, this would probably give me a sound like I have a lisp, where split band just works a lot better. Proximity to make the song sound a lot more, the vocals sound more in front of the mix. Then I use a FabFilter Saturn, in which I use a saturating color preset. I upped the band 1 mid, which is the low mid. Then I used sub bass, brought that down, brought the treble down, and the presence. Then finally, I just use a Pro R reverb, which I used a gold plate, vocal gold plate, and upped the reverb delay and decay rate and stereo width, and then the mix at about 50%, yeah. So that's it for the vocals. I made the chord voicings within the verse differently. They're just all root positions. Kept the snap, got rid of the bass for a bit of the verse, and then I added it when it comes in here. So you hear, so it's playing up, but overall that's really all the mix. Then it's just repeating with the vocals. Obviously there's the texture and structure of the song, but here's the interlude, in which I have 2 kicks, a snare, open hi-hats, toms, but overall that is the song. So yeah, that's my mixing stage of the final piece done.